One of the worst parts of JavaScript is, without a doubt, the inheritance system. So the inheritance system is how we kind of set up what we might refer to as object-oriented programming or some level of inheritance. So JavaScript doesn't really have true object inheritance. It has what is called prototypal inheritance. And here's what I'm going to tell you about prototypal inheritance. I'm going to tell you, I guarantee you that if you ask 5 different engineers how prototypal inheritance works, you are going to get 5 different answers. I've never seen a very consistent explanation of prototypal inheritance. And so in this course, I'm not going to try to explain it to you from scratch. Rather, I'm going to show you what ES6's solution to prototypal inheritance is. Okay? So we're going to use an ES6 feature called classes to help us organize our code. We're going to use classes to set up some level of inheritance and to create objects. The one thing I'm going to tell you right now, though, is that classes are not an absolute solution. Under the hood, whenever we use a class, we are still making use of prototypal inheritance. So just keep that in mind, and I'll mention it a couple times in here as well. So let's see what this looks like with an example. I'm going to create a constructor object or constructor function for a car. So cars are really the very classic object-oriented programming approach here, because we can make a car and then we might make like a Toyota or something like that that will inherit from a car. So let's go through this example and see how this looks going from a constructor function to using these new classes. So I have a car constructor here. I'm going to pass into it some options, and the options are going to be an options object. So this will come in as an object, and I might expect it to have a property like, say, title. So we'll say that every single car that we create must have a title. So we'll say this .title is options.title. So now I can create a car by saying new car and passing in an options object of title, and we'll make it a focus. And now if I log that car, I see that I get a title of focus. So let's add a method to this car object right now. Okay, we're going to add a method onto car. Whenever we add methods onto a car class or car prototype, we add it to the prototype object of the constructor. So we would reference car.prototype.drive. So we might make a function called .drive. And whenever we call this function, maybe we return vroom because we're driving the car around or something. So now if we called car.drive, we get a result of vroom. So this is like basic object creation with JavaScript right here. We create a constructor object. We can then use the new keyword on it. And then if we want to add methods to this new object, we add it on the prototype property of the constructor. So here's the constructor function, prototype, and then the method that we want to add. So this, prototype right here, this is not the easiest thing in the world to explain. If you've not really worked with prototypes before, again, I'm not going to go through the process, because the entire point of talking about classes is that we do not have to worry about this prototype property anymore, because it's just inherently confusing. It's not well documented. And again, if you ask 5 different engineers about exactly what this prototype is, you're going to get 5 different answers. So let's continue in the next section, and we're going to refactor this car object into a class using some ES6. All right, so I'll catch you in the next section.